advantage 1. The DA, advantage 2, then assimilation. Actually, put assimilation before advantage 2.
Can you give that again? I'm totally lost. CP advantage 1, and then
CP advantage 1, the disad advantage 2, or assimilation then advantage 2.
assimilation advantage 2.
Plan 1, the common plan doesn't remedy a free advantage, it relegates controlled localities, allowing for problematic intersection of race and local sovereignty. The impact, terminal impact is genocide. This also acts as all their offense on the desegregation debate. Local control makes all the violence inevitable, extend our power weapons, and integration is key to sustainable democracy worldwide. This is Pekin in 2K4. The leaving out of some people in Down is a racially segregated United States. We leave out the externals of wisdom only by bringing the perspectives and experience of all Americans can view as a to beat the hard challenges that in an unknown future, great expansion, social and political democracy will make much essential now fully available long-term development of improvement of democracies in making, and the impact is extinction. This is Gavin 95. Nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons continue to proliferate. The current source of life on Earth, the global ecosystem, appears to be increasingly endangered. Democratic governments do not ethnically cleanse their own populations. Democratic democracies do not sponsor terrorism against one another precisely because within their borders they respect competition, civil liberties, property rights, and rule of law. Democracy is the only reliable foundation on which international security and prosperity can be built. And turn, Bush will sign the counterplan. He'll crush his base, and he'll order airstrikes against Iran. This is Buchanan 2K6. Bush's options haven't been exhausted. Will order airstrikes. Bush's rating could soar 20 points. Republicans would rally after the return of the post 9/11 president. Democrats would launch an attack at the president who acted forcibly to remove what they themselves have an intolerable threat to neocons. The Christian right would hail Bush as the new Churchill, and the impact is extinction. This is Con 2K5. The U.S. aggressive intentions as some pretext against Iran. Under such eventuality, Russia would guard Iran's interest to preempt U.S. intrusion towards the IAS in Russia. She would make a safe exit for India to provide logistics support for U.S. forces in this regard. It would neutralize Pakistan. This reaction, under all possibility, would initiate nuclear war. Both Russia and China would also react with regard to strategic answers in Iran and Pakistan, respectively. Initiation of nuclear weapons would amount to mass destroying elimination of the most global civilization. And furthermore, that only desegregation can lead to effective cultural movement, solve civil war. This is 4-9-7. If the legal regime restricts the expression of different ethnically, religious, or culturally homogenous jurisdictions, subgroups will begin to find themselves in terms of jurisdictional autonomy and narrow isolation to some group. In the alternative legal regime, the less public articulation of difference in institutions, a broader national inclusiveness, subgroups will define themselves as participants in expansive, inclusive, democratic dialogue and members of plurality. And the impact is widespread civil war and violence. This is Nagel in 2K2. Multiculturalism, unsettling claims about racial entitlement, racial possibility, moral and perceptual rupture, significant and evoke images of breakdown and bloodshed. All of these events and trends are converging of a still very young nation who was only a few generations ago that the American experiment. So it is a colossal failure, is a massive and bloody civil war toward the nation apart, and furthermore, this positionalities of voting issue is upon a strategy that engages in multiple contradictory words which allow them to just end most of our strategic offense. Based upon his conditionality and surprise, we have no choice but to meet the strategic decisions they give us always undesirable because it will leave us unable to answer counterplans that our plan plus and permutation do both, and in turn repealing tax cuts crushes the economy. This is Hederman and Kane and Moody in 2K5. Some of these can treat as the great expense of the recovery efforts as justification for letting, but if federal taxes are unexpectedly increase the business climate and labor markets, it will be even more better than they are now. In contrast, making the cuts permanent would allow would create 43,000 new additional jobs in 2006 alone, and the impact is extinction. This appeared in 2K. Part of the final economic collapse, the stress on nations will have increased the intensity and number of the conflicts to the point where the arsenal weapons mass destruction are almost certain to be released. The response of the mutual treaties involved in such scenarios will quickly draw on other nations. Conflict escalating, it significantly pen. The resultant great Armageddon would destroy civilization as we know it, and perhaps the biosphere for many decades. Advantage, first advantage. 2AC number 1, they say that our view of biopower is bad, but it's a question of sovereignty, not biopower. Second is that your evidence of reading of Foucault will have no link. There's your evidence of contextualizing the American ideology. Now they say tracking, but first this is no link. We still will win that we lead to magnet schools. This will all be on the criticism. And second, this is even inevitable in the world of the counterplan. It will be this kind of separation. Now they say that we lead to unitary desegregation, but this is irrelevant in the world that we win our magnet schools argument, which will all be on assimilation. And now they say that local control is key to democracy, but this is just not true. Extend our Giroux and our Powell evidence indicates that the suburbs have been able to take advantage of local control and crush the ability of the cities to participate in the democratic process. Now they say that legal solutions are impossible. They extend our Tarlock and Milken evidence. Milken is the basis for all alternate presence that were prevented. They're all cause our inherency for us. Second is the housing market. Extend our kidnappings. We change people's decision calculus for housing choice. Most people who move to the suburbs because of school quality, we destroy their ability to move out to work for better schools. And for our evidence here, we have specific evidence. Now they say that desegregation leads to backlash, but this all be the criticism. Same with this incrementalism argument. Now they say the movements, the decreased movements argument. They say, well, all the movements are ineffective in the quote. They can't provide an example of a black movement that's actually solved. And extend our Ford evidence from the counterplan indicates that only desegregation will allow for new and more effective kinds of movements. They say black teachers, but this is all in the quote. Remember that they're closing schools in the inner city, etc. There's absolutely zero link. And now they say HBCUs, but this is all this is irrelevant, and the contact theory evidence will all be on the criticism. Now they say we don't decrease, but we have specific solvency. That's all above. The plan takes 2 decades. No, our Tarlock evidence is pretty specifically on this question. In private schools, yeah, who cares? Will lead to some desegregation long term. And now their next 2 arguments are answered first by our Kennedy evidence, which indicates that we solve the root cause of the hierarchies of race and class that allow Bush to do these bad things, and people are transferring inevitably now. Not everyone has the money to transfer, i.e. to drive from these schools. Disadvantage. First is that you have no internal link. There's no evidence that R1 overrules spillover, and not unique. The Supreme Court will overrule in minimum real retail price lawsuit. Now this is LA Times 2K6. The justice looked at the case from weekend. It doesn't happen often. This is the Supreme Court agrees to revisit 95-year-old rule that was seemingly written in stone. For this fact, the Supreme Court is grown increasingly skeptical that antitrust laws, and in particular strict rules that make certain conduct an automatic violation, and can I get my laptop, Dave? And Roberts is a social, not a judicial conservative. He supports overturn of rights and will inevitably use his power even if it's not overruled. This is Lou in 2K5. With remarkable consistency throughout his career, Roberts has applied the legal talent to further the cause of the far right. His activities fit the profile of social, political, and economic conservative, importantly not of a judicial conservative. The record suggests that he has a substantial vision for American law, right-wing vision, antagonists, and important rights and protections that we currently enjoy. He's not afraid to flex judicial muscles to achieve it. And turn if plan moves Kennedy Roberts to the right, that will push Kennedy to the left. This is Franklin in 2K5. The key down courts the median voter that decides fifth vote on any decision. Then Roberts Court, that fifth vote will be Kennedy's. The configuration rises and enters and problems for the Roberts-Alito edition of the court. Kennedy was only significant, so likely to Congress right, and there will be a substantial gap between Kennedy and Roberts-Alito. Thomas Bailey, there will be a significantly large gap between Kennedy and the group of days left. Stevens, Pryor, Ginsburg, Souter, and if Roberts and Alito turn out to be near Thomas and Scalia, Kennedy will actually be close to liberal wing, such as strong conservative wing of the court drive the swing vote to the left. And furthermore is that plan overrules Jenkins. This is Radder in 2K4. The court relied on the conceptual foundation of Milken 1. The court held that the goal of distracting non-minority students from suburbs essentially circumvent the interdistrict limits of desegregation decree, and that killed Sassel-P. This is Griffin in 2K. The separation of powers principle, the taxation upheld in Jenkins, set aside by the state tax law, ultimately ignored each of these limitations upon federal power, and Jenkins have failed to address such limits. The court has outlined, however, on one more occasion, the Constitution's federal decision claims postulates of limitation and control, and the impact is nuclear war. This is Reddish and Cesar in 91. No defender of separation of powers can prove to his certitude that for the existence of separation of powers, tyranny would be the inevitable outcome, but the question is whether we wish to take that risk given the obvious severity of the harm that would result. For just this case, the threat of nuclear war, no one wants to be forced into the position of saying, I told you so, with simulation. First is that your counterclaim. First is that this is all going into the code. Your counterclaims paying solve it. Our Powell evidence indicates that even if it doesn't happen in the schools, that local controls is allowing the suburbs effectively to commit war and genocide upon the cultures. And second is that there's a difference between cultural and actual genocide. You don't access any of our Giroux evidence, and only desegregation can remedy racism. Wells and Crane and 4 days appoint stereotypes. Only face-to-face contact with prepare all children for a post-racist democracy where working together in the workplace will encourage socialization in early age. These supplements cultural success is not pushed into the quality of learning with exposure to minority students that appears to be success is normalized, and we saw and extend our wells and train evidence. Desegregation spurs a more radical teaching culture, which the teachers become more aware of the cultural needs of their students, and evidence students busing is normal needs for desegregation or field in 2K1. Mandatory busing has not been the biggest form of desegregation policy for 2 decades. Group advantage 2, you have no link to any of your arguments because we don't want to lead to widespread citizenship only in relation to race.
Okay. All right. First question: you rated taxes, DA, on the counter plan. How is the plan financed? Wouldn't you have to pay a lot of money to build these magnet schools that you say you lead to?
Not necessarily. They wouldn't. There's no reason why they'd even necessarily be funded by the federal government. Over and above.
Doesn't that link to your local control argument that places that are richer will be able to fund the magnet schools and have better magnet schools than the areas that are poorer?
No, dude.
You don't specify where the funding comes anyway. The tax cut argument only is based off the idea that you get
Increase taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, presumably
there's
your
no
plan is to
reason
be
as
funded somehow.
why court orders desegregation. Bush all of a sudden is like, let's increase taxes. Doesn't seem likely.
Okay, so your plan is unfunded?
No, our plan doesn't increase taxes.
Okay, so it increases the deficit?
Not necessarily. Funding can come from elsewhere if they want.
So it trades off with other education spending?
Not necessarily.
Okay, how is your plan funded? I've just given 3 possibilities. I don't know what any other
First of all, there's
possibilities
specific state taxes since
Yes,
it is in the
State
NDA.
taxes? Okay, well then why doesn't that link to your DA?
Our evidence is talking about income tax, which is very
Income tax? Okay,
So
well
the states
states
are gonna-
also have income taxes.
Would the states increase the sales tax? That's kind of progressive.
Yeah, the sales tax is regressive, property tax also
Not
regressive.
necessarily. They can just use the funding that they're doing for like suburban schools now.
Okay, so all of a sudden all schools become really crappy because they're using the money from suburban schools to bus students back and forth or build
Not
magnet
bus
schools?
them. They go to
Equal
magnets.
crappy.
So they don't
Still
provide them
sounds
with any
advantage.
transportation to the magnet
Not
schools?
necessarily. It depends.
Okay, your Iran argument, this evidence talks about an October surprise. I'm
So
confused.
the evidence is also talking when in the event that Bush feels that like he has no popularity, it's him.
In the context of an election. So what is the internal link in the context of right now?
Bush signs the bill. It makes him look even worse than he already is. That means he's going to be.
Okay, but do you read any evidence that the counterplan would be unpopular?
It's signed by Bush. We'll assert that it's unpopular. I mean.
Okay, but you have no link evidence to your DA?
Not as of the 2 weeks.
Okay, tell me what the extinction scenario is for democracy.
Democracy.
This vegan card is really rhetorical about how we have to be democratic, but I don't understand how this spreads worldwide and prevents people from using nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons against us.
Well, in the quote, there's lots of countries around the world that aren't responsible to their minority populations, etc.
And why is your plan modeled?
Why is our plan modeled? Our evidence indicates that they're looking to them now.
Which card is this?
That's the vegan evidence.
By leaving out some of the people as done in a racially segregated U.S., we leave out vast stores of wisdom. Only by bringing in the perspective and experience of all Americans can the U.S. expect to meet the hard challenge of the unknown future. The great expansion of social and political democracy makes much essential knowledge finally available to the long-term development and improvement of democracies in the making, like the United States. Where does this say modeling?
It's democracies in the making.
Like the United States.
Right, there's other.
Right, it says that if democracies adopt integration, it will provide tools for those countries.